Good evening, folks. I'm going to go ahead and read to you the last 7 daily inspirational messages, the titles, and then you guys can choose one and we can go from there. And here they are. Releasing the present from the past and future. We cannot achieve peace through punishment. The choice between trust and worry. Reevaluating the idea of having a bad day. Respecting how you feel is respecting yourself. Learning to love yourself more by loving others. And negative thinking shows us what we do not want.
Please do the bad day one.
Reevaluating the idea of having a bad day.
Yeah, because I can't wait for you to tell me to be grateful for it.
Of course. All right. That is the October 17th daily inspirational message, condensed version. It's 2 paragraphs long, and the title is Reevaluating the idea of having a bad day. And here we go. Paragraph 1. A so-called bad day is not the result of what happened to us. It is the result of how we define what happened to us. A bad day, in quotes, is not really caused by something outside of us. It is caused by our own mind's reaction to the outer world. If we can heal the misperceptions we have about the value of our experiences, the so-called bad days begin to dissolve from our life. Bad days only seem to happen when we forget that God, being love and all, uses every moment to help us raise our level of consciousness. God only offers us what is valuable for our growth, healing, and awakening. When properly perceived, every moment, and thus every day, is a gift from God. When we recognize this, we become a gift to this world, and our healed perception becomes a guiding light for others. All that separates us from becoming this guiding light is recognizing that we have co-designed our journeys with the divine. Paragraph 2. Today, let us use our so-called bad days to heal. When we do, we deprogram ourselves and begin to awaken from the ego's dream. Our perception colors our experiences. As we change our mind, we change the color of our day. Today, let us not look to change our external environment. Let us change our internal one, the perception of the value of our experiences. This change resides within our mind. This is good news, for it is we, not the outer world, who hold the power over the kind of day we experience. We have control over our thoughts and thus over our mind, day, and life. The divine, being perfection, has the perfect plan in place. Today, let us use trust and gratitude to help shift our mind's perspective about our day's value. Let us trust that God is using every step of our journey to help us grow, heal, and awaken. Let us also offer gratitude to those we meet along the way for helping us awaken to the gifts that reside within each day. End of paragraph 2. All right. So the idea here is that we've been programmed to believe that if our day doesn't look a certain way, then somehow it was unproductive or bad or something to be regretful for, etc., right? We've been programmed to believe there's good days and there's bad days. That's what we believe. That's what we've been programmed to believe. But what if every day was actually a good day? That could be kind of interesting, right? And so the idea here is to look at those quote unquote bad days and start to see the gifts that were in them. And the way you can begin to do that is simply look at your past. Okay? Did we not seem to have bad days in our past? But didn't those so-called bad days didn't that provide sometimes some of the greatest wisdom and knowledge and understanding, and helped us create and reinforce mercy and grace, not only for ourselves, but for others during those bad days, right? So if those bad days helped us reawaken to that mercy, to that grace, to that understanding, to that knowledge that forgiveness is probably the proper response to any place where the ego rules with judgment, then if you can use all those kind of days to help you achieve all this kind of wisdom, then were they ever really bad in the first place? And so this is the lesson today. Well, the lesson from October 17th is trying to help you look at your so-called bad days in a brighter light. And understand that bad day seems to be only a bad day because that's how you defined it. That's how you were programmed to define it, right? But if you've been programmed to define it in a way that seems to define it as a bad day, can you not reprogram it? And is the solution not actually because of the reprogramming that you do, not inside your mind? And so now it doesn't really have to do with anybody from our past. It doesn't have to do with any sort of situation. Now it has to do only with our minds, because the shift resides within our minds. The shift of understanding that this so-called bad day actually brought something good to us, and therefore it was helpful, and therefore it was useful, and therefore was it really bad? And so that's roughly the idea for this daily inspiration. Has anybody thought they experienced a bad day or a bad time during the week?
Yes.
All right. What was it?
I beat someone to it. No, I'm kidding. What was it? Oh, yes. Well, two. I'll tell you, yesterday's was really difficult for me to shift my mind. I was struggling communicating their wants and needs and acting very like cold and distant, and at finally, after many hours, the person confessed that they were struggling, that they find it difficult to communicate, and what they were going through. And I was just, I guess I was being judgmental, and I was just frustrated because it just, this is not going to sound right, but I don't mean it this way. I mean, it was, I saw it as a simple, um I want this or I want that, but apparently it wasn't simple for the other person. And I just had a hard time accepting that and seeing it different. And I was frustrated with myself because I didn't want to feel that. I didn't want to feel annoyed or bothered, but I had a hard time shifting my mind, my thoughts around it.
Okay. Okay. So the first thing we want to remember to look at is if we are having some sort of frustration or a hard, or seeming to define the experience as a hard time or feeling annoyed or in some way struggling, the primary thing that's happening there is that we're not trusting in God enough. And so there's a way that that the experience plays out, and it's playing out in a form that can best help you achieve whatever growth that you need to, or that you're wanting to have. And so there's a perfect design in place between you and God, okay, for your day and for your experience. And so you and God decided to design a certain day to look a certain way to help you let go of certain misperceptions that you hold within you. Okay. And then so you make out a call to the universe, to those individuals who can help bring up out this kind of emotion and energy. Okay. So first recall that those persons in your life that are quote unquote frustrating you or making you feel like you're having a hard time, they're there because God and you chose them because they were the perfect individual to bring out that sort of emotion from inside of you into the physical form. Okay. And so first we become grateful to the understanding that that brother or sister, that was the perfect brother or sister that I needed in that moment to bring out these misperceptions that I hold inside myself that are keeping me away from peace out into the physical form so that I can look at it, so that I can forgive it, and therefore so I can heal it. And so let's look at that individual as a gift from God to us. And when we finally recognize them as a gift from God to us, even though the ego would say otherwise, uh, we become a gift to this world. Because now, when those kind of situations occur, when those certain individuals once again become cold or distant or have issues communicating, now we look at them with a little more mercy and grace because we know that they're acting, in quotes, acting in this way
Mm-hmm.
because that's the way that we unconsciously ask them to express themselves so that we can look at our own issues. Okay. And so this situation, this experience is helping you see that somewhere in your past, you had certain interactions with individuals who were cold and distant. Okay. So then you want to sit down and look in your past and say, okay, who in my life has acted in this manner,
Mm-hmm.
cold and distant, where I have not yet forgiven him or her for that. Okay, so what who would come up for you?
Oh gosh, probably my mom. Well, but I think I've forgiven her. My mom, and definitely is on the colder side, and my dad was distant. He wasn't really cold, but and I feel like I've forgiven him though. I mean, I probably can't say I've forgiven my mom 100%, but yeah, I I I think it'll happen again until I learn my lesson right. So I'm hoping to practice it unless I was so stuck in my ego yesterday.
Yeah,
Um, as much as I was kind, I wasn't unkind, but I was just cold myself. I'm just like, you know what? I just can't warm up right now.
yeah. So
And
you see how we bring that programming from our past
yeah,
into our present, and then
yeah,
that individual who's copying that sort of behavior, who's modeling that sort of behavior, is just it's just modeling the behavior that your mom and dad kind of used with you. And
yeah.
it was not, they didn't do it on purpose.
No, totally, and I'm very aware of that, and I've worked a lot through my family stuff. I mean, it is a trigger in a close relationship with someone else. I mean, it initially brings up, you know, it brings that up, and I mean, the dynamic, well, I was going to say the dynamics are a little different with parent and child, but I suppose it brings you back to that initial feeling. But my frustration also came from um just how much of a challenge it was to be able to sort through it. I mean, it took many hours, and I suppose I could be grateful that there was some understanding at the end of it. And I would love to say, okay, perhaps it won't happen too often again. But that is probably wishful thinking. Um, yeah, I just want to be less next time, less obviously ego driven and more receptive to just being curious and not being judgmental or just irritating myself, because I'm the one, like Mike says, your liver gets cooked. I'm the one that was feeling like crap, and it was not not a fun experience.
Yeah. But now we can look at this individual with a little more compassion, understanding that they're just reflecting our past issues, right? And so we haven't 100% healed those past issues, right? And so they will repeat until we heal them 100%. And so when they come up, become self-aware that what is truly happening, right? That this individual is just modeling the past behavior of your parents, let's say, so that you can heal it, so you can heal it fully and heal your relationship with your parents fully in that sense. And
Yeah.
so when this individual is volunteering to help you heal your relationship with your parents, then you start to see them and this him or her in a more compassionate and appreciative light, right?
Yeah, I definitely didn't go there when it was
Right.
happening.
Yeah, but I know. But we're just saying what the situation really was beneath the surface.
Right.
The next time that it pops up, you're self-aware enough. Okay, this guy, this lady is just modeling my parents' behavior. I'm not gonna condemn them for that. Now that I'm an adult. I can deal with this in a more loving and compassionate manner. I can
Mm-hmm.
offer certain loving suggestions in a way that we can both heal in this situation. And it's not unusual for you to feel challenged from this past programming because imagine imagine if your mom was cold and your dad was distant and you were a child. Okay, that's pretty challenging for a child, right? To deal with
Mm-hmm.
those kind of issues. So if that was challenging for that child inside of you, who's still inside of
Mm-hmm.
you, trying to heal this situation, these emotions, then if you feel challenged now in the moment, don't punish yourself for feeling that challenge. Okay, just recognize what's truly happening beneath the surface.
Mm-hmm.
This is an opportunity for me to practice finding a way to offer this individual more understanding and compassion and maybe even guidance towards a certain level of behavior or peace. And in doing so, I'm able to unconsciously and hopefully consciously begin to heal those unhealed feelings in regards to my mom and dad. And then maybe I can, every time my mom and dad comes up, and every time my mom comes up and that feeling of coldness comes up, I can sit with it for a second, remind myself that she was doing the best she could with the emotional and psychological tools she had available to her at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and have a little more compassion for her and forgive her for the way she behaved, and then have that compassion for your father too, for being distant.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so now when you think of your mom, you forgive her and you have more compassion. Now when you think about your dad, you forgive him and you have more compassion. Now when this individual projects simply your past programming, now you understand, hey, this individual is doing this for me. He's bringing up these emotions for me so I can heal them. So that I can be a beacon of light for others when this kind of situation pops up. And so now we have gratitude to that brother or sister who brought up those emotions. Okay. And now we have gratitude to God for bringing this situation into our experience. And
Mm-hmm.
remember, God would not bring it into your experience unless you were ready to go ahead and deal with it. to go ahead and heal it. And so this situation came into your experience. Why? Because you're ready to deal with this kind of emotional energy.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you pat yourself on the back. You don't judge yourself for being less than perfect, right? Because even though you were less than perfect, you were perfect by the way you reacted. Because that was just picturing your internal condition. It was picturing that in the outer world.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you have a better idea of these emotions and energies that are reside within you that you're in the process of healing. And so pat yourself on the back for bringing that situation into your experience, because now you can take a step forward in your healing process. And by doing so, you become a brighter light for others in this kind of situations.
Okay. Sounds good. And I wanted to share something really quick that happened today
Okay.
with a phone call to I don't even know now if it was AT&T or T-Mobile. It doesn't even matter. But I had someone who was trying to help me out, and she was very impatient with me, and was I don't know what was going on, but she was rude, and I said to her, you're coming across very rude. And she said to me, well, that's your opinion. And I was like, yes, it is my opinion. I mean, in my mind. And I was like, do you think we could get through this call in a pleasant way? And then she changed her tune a little bit, but I think that she definitely made me, think, well, yeah, it's true. It is. And I wasn't going to get into it with her. I didn't, I mean, I could have easily gotten into it with her. Um, but it was just interesting. You don't usually get that from customer service uh, representatives that are there to help you. So then I thought, okay, maybe she's having a day, and she sensed my frustration or my tone. Of course, I always think that I'm kind and sweet, and I'm sure I'm not always kind and sweet. Um, but it kind of, it stopped me. It stopped me from, like, I didn't get irritated, or I mean, I was thrown aback because you don't usually hear that from them. But I was like, okay, I'm not going to feed into this. We're just going to move on. And she did become kinder after I asked her name. So it was interesting to not react. Um, and yeah, and I didn't feel bad about my non-techie skills either, which I get frustrated as well. I'm like, how is this not working? And the lady's like, what do you mean it's not working? What are you doing? Like, she was totally like, you're so untechy that you don't know what you're doing. That was the tone, and that was the message. So, anyways, we got through it. We got through it without too much upsetness from my part, which I'm glad. And um I'm assuming she didn't take it too personally either, but I don't know. Yeah, so I just wanted to share that.
Yeah.
That.
So
Hmm.
okay. So whatever we experience during our day is something that we have set up in the spiritual realm to bring into the physical realm to help us practice certain expressions of love. Okay. And so whenever, let's say, in this kind of situation where in the phone call you start to feel a little like the person's a little impatient and rude, okay,
Hmm.
you have to remind yourself, okay, I am here to do the opposite of what the ego demands. Okay. And so you always want to do the opposite and you want to keep it simple this way. Do the opposite of what the ego seems to be demanding in every situation. Okay. And so obviously, if the individual appears to be impatient or rude, then the reason why this kind of situation is occurring is for you. It's for you because everything is for you, right? Everything that happens in your day is for you. And so this is an opportunity that the universe and God are offering you, and this individual is offering you to practice being more patient, to practice being more compassionate in this kind of situation when there's a rude individual. And so you see, you wanna light the way for others. That's your job in each moment and situation. And so when they're being impatient and rude, your job in the situation is not to react to the illusion, not to react to the delusion of the individual, not to react to their pain, but to be a beacon of peace for them. A
Oh,
beacon.
so not to tell her she's rude?
Correct. You could, if at all possible, not to tell her that. But maybe if you do tell her that, try to tell her that in the most loving way possible, and say,
Mm.
I'm kind of feeling that you're seeming a little impatient and rude. Like you said, can we try? Can we try again? Can we have a mulligan here? And
Mm.
you kind of did that. You kind of did that. You kind of restarted the whole situation again by saying, can we find a way to do this in a more, peaceful manner?
Yeah, after I gave her an attitude, yeah, I did. I did. I came back. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Can I
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Mike.
can I add something?
Yeah.
You look at the motivation, okay? If you feel motivated to tell her that she's being rude because you feel that you need to defend yourself, you should look at that twice. If you feel that telling her that she's being rude is helpful, then you say it. It's all where it's coming from. If it's because you feel attacked and you need to attack back and tell her that she's rude, you're probably making a mistake. If you think that, well, the right thing to say here is just let her know that you're being rude.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. I don't need to defend myself. I'm just going to tell her for her benefit.
I was hoping she'd be less rude and more helpful.
Yeah. Then
That was my
then
intention.
if what you're saying is in
But
order
that
to
didn't
be
help.
helpful, if what you're saying is in order to be helpful for the situation, then it's the right decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what Mike is basically saying, okay, whenever, let's say the situation happens again when somebody's impatient and rude on the phone, right? Okay, somebody's being impatient and rude. Okay, what's my job here? My job is to align with the mind of God, which is love, and then offer that love to others. Okay, so now I'm going to align with love, and then from love, I'm going to say, "Can we begin again?" kind of thing. So you wanna say that kind of thing from love, not from a place of frustration. Because if you say it from frustration, it comes out differently than if you say that from love. If you say, "Can we start again?" from anger or frustration, it's going to come out rough. If you say, "Can we start again?" from a place of love,
Mm-hmm.
then there's a better opportunity to have the result that you want. And remember that you always want to try to put yourself in the place of others, right? And so this what's in your cup runneth over, right? And so if this individual is having a frustrating day herself, that's going to come out.
Mm-hmm.
So if she's feeling those negative emotions inside of her, but we know that's not truly her, she's just having a difficult time, we want
Mm-hmm.
to use those moments to practice that compassion, that kindness, to be in that light in the world. And so, yes, from a place of love, you can try to guide the situation in a more loving and compassionate way. And I think that's what you tried to do. And I think in the end, it kind of worked out, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I didn't resolve my issue, but I couldn't wait to get off the phone. But I mean, it was a better. It could have been much worse, and I would have felt worse.
Yeah.
But
No, when that happens, just remember, okay, this is when impatience or rudeness comes. Okay, this is an opportunity for me to do the opposite of what the ego seems to be demanding. Let me try to be compassionate and kind, and maybe even ask the lady, there's something going on today that you're feeling a little frustrated or impatient. You want to
Yeah,
talk about it?
yeah. Yeah, that wasn't my first go-to, definitely not. I mean, I've been dealing with AT&T and T-Mobile for the whole weekend. This was like my going on 4 hours or something, calling back and forth and taking care of business. So it was one of those things. And at the end I had to go in person to the store. So it didn't quite work out over the phone, but I did learn, I thought, um a lesson. And I'm usually very kind to people on the phone, even if they're, a little frustrated. But she was a little more than I've experienced. So I guess she was there to teach me to chill and be kind and compassionate.
Yes, and yeah, we all understand. We've all been there. We've all been there for hours with you know. So have a little compassion for yourself. You did the best you could in that moment
Yeah.
where you were at, and now, but next time this kind of situation pops up, now you're more ready.
Yeah, definitely.
Let me just do the opposite of what the ego is asking me to do. Instead of being rude back, okay, that's not my function in this moment. God put me here to be a light in the world. How can I lead even this lady to a place of peace? And so, yes, all those are
Thank you.
opportunities we're being given by the universe to grow, heal, and awaken. And so, thank you, AT&T lady,
T-Mobile, but anyways, yeah.
T-Mobile lady.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you. Anybody else having had a somewhat difficult um, day, or they perceived it to be a difficult or challenging time, and
Um,
trying to see it from a place of more compassion?
yeah. I had a bad day yesterday.
Okay.
But the thing is, after what the bad thing happened, I really analyzed how it's good that it happened because I learned ABCD, I learned. I picked up the lesson. Well, at least now I know better, I know where to focus on. But then, even if I had that in my mind, I was still kind of beating myself up for failing to meet the expectation. And I think that's kind of what trips me because I have this tendency to uh, have expectations of myself. And if I don't meet it, it's like a letdown. And I want to change that. That's why I I keep attending because I need to keep remembering.
Yes. Okay. So when you have that, when you're starting to feel like you failed to meet your expectations, okay, you're only going to feel that way if the ego is in control of your thinking. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, okay, I'm feeling like I failed the expectations that I had to myself in this situation. Okay, but I'm only love, right? So, and I cannot be a failure because I was created by perfection, correct?
Mm.
And so, however it is that I reacted, I did the best I could in that moment with the emotional and energetic tools that I had available to me in my mind. Okay, so the thing is that you're always doing the best you can in every situation. You're always at your highest level of development in every situation. Okay, so if you're always doing the best you can with the tools that you have available to you, then compassion is the proper response to yourself when you quote unquote fail to meet expectations. Okay, because again, like we talked about before, you and God co-designed your journey in a perfect way to help you let go of the programming that you have inside of you. Okay, so you have some kind of programming from your past that says you have to achieve a certain level of expectation each and every time something happens or you go into a certain situation. There's an expectation, okay? So you see, you're already in the future. You're not in the present moment. And so if you're in the future, that means the ego is in control of your thinking. Okay, so take back control of your thinking by returning to the now. How do you return to the now? Whatever thoughts of unforgiveness you have about the future, you go ahead and forgive the future. Whatever anxiety, doubt, fear you have about the future, you place it in God's hands. So now try to go into a situation with your goals already set. Okay, and say to yourself, okay, my goal for this situation is just to do the best that I can, and then have compassion for myself for how I behaved in that situation. And have an understanding that because I behave in this manner, that's the best that I could do in those moments. Okay. And so if you go into a situation with your goal already set, saying to yourself, okay, whatever happens, I'm going to do the best that I can in this situation. Okay. And then I'm going to give thanks to God that I did the best that I could, no matter how I acted. I did the best that I could. Okay. So when you understand that you're always doing the best that you can, then you have a little more, you learn to have a little more compassion for yourself. Because no matter what, the ego is going to have a higher expectation of you that is incongruent to the state of peace. And so you're never going to do good enough for the ego. Okay. You're never going to do good enough for the ego. Because the ego is always going to tell you, you should have done a little bit better. You could have done a little bit better. You know? Okay. So when you're allowing the ego to think for you, and now allowing the ego to set that higher and higher bar each and every time, no matter how you experience the situation, then you're going to experience a lack of peace. Okay. And so any time now that you have in your mind, I failed to meet expectations. Okay. Remind yourself, that is the ego who's in control of my mind right now. Okay. God and I co-created this moment for me so that I can grow, heal, and awaken. God gave me all the tools that I needed in this moment to express myself in this way. And so now I'm going to have compassion for my own growth process. Your own growth process is perfect and it is sacred. Okay. And so practice having that mercy and grace for yourself, knowing that you're doing, in every situation, you're doing the best that you can in those moments. And expectations are only of the ego. And then practice doing that to all the people in your life. Stop making others meet your expectations of them. Okay. You know, obviously guide them to doing the best they can, but always guide them to not creating self-judgment. Okay, because again, you're never going to achieve peace by listening to the ego, and expectations are never going to be met, because the ego is always going to. Let's say you say this. Let's say you thought that this was your expectation, right? And then guess what? You did this, but then the ego tells you, no, this was your expectation. It wasn't this. It was this. Okay, so the ego is always going to try to take it up on another level. Why? Because the ego needs you to judge self and others, because that's how the ego gets to live and thrive through you. If you don't use the ego's tools, the ego begins to dissolve away, and the ego doesn't want to die. And so the ego needs you to judge yourself, needs you to judge others. Okay. And so whenever that happens, just remember, okay, I'm not here to listen to what the ego has to say. I'm here to I did the best that I could in that moment. I thank myself for this. Thank myself for God offering me this moment. And now I'm going to have peace because I did the best that I could in this moment. And let go of those expectations. That's just some sort of past programming that you have, again, from your parents, from your peers, from whatever. Just sit back, close your eyes, and think, okay, where in my life or who created this kind of thinking where I have to have this super high expectations of myself? And then you have to go to those individuals who created that programming in your mind and begin to forgive them. So you have to look, was my father expecting too much of me all the time? Was my mother expecting too much of me all the time? Was my family expecting too much of me all the time? And then begin to forgive them for doing that, for thinking that way, for training you to think that way. Okay. But the beautiful thing is that you can undo what you have done. You can deprogram yourself from thinking that it does not bring you peace. Because what you truly want is peace, right? What you truly want is joy, right? But if a way of thinking does not lead you on the road to peace or joy, why continue to support those thoughts and that way of thinking? If constantly not thinking, remember the mind, thinking that you're not meeting expectations, if that never delivers to you the peace to your mind or joy to your heart, why continue to punish yourself? Okay. So say to yourself, I will no longer punish myself with my own thinking. And now I'm going to trust that God and I co-created this journey that I am on right now. And so, yes, I will do the best that I can. But yes, also I will give myself compassion and mercy and understanding, knowing that I'm doing the best that I can. And so, yes, that beating yourself up, that idea, again, it's an idea that you're failing to meet expectations. It's just an idea. It's just a fairy tale that you bought into as true. And again, you will never meet the ego's expectations. So practice ending the time, focus, and energy that you give to that way of thinking. And then practice doing that for your kids, practice doing that for your husband, always reminding yourself, my kids are doing, I trained my kids the best that I could. My kids are doing the best they can. And let me have more compassion and mercy for them. And knowing that because God is in control, all will be okay. Okay, everything will be okay. God is in control. Love is in control. Perfect love is in control. Perfect love has a perfect path for each one of us. And so each one of our days is perfect for us. He only gives us what we can handle in those moments. And so now he gave you the opportunity to see that false programming of having to meet super high expectations. It's not necessary. It's not necessary. And it doesn't deliver peace to your mind. It doesn't make you a brighter light. Because if you're constantly judging yourself for your journey, you just set up blocks around you, which blocks the light inside of you. And then now you don't do what you were created by God to do, which is to be a light in the world. And so practice giving yourself a little more mercy, a little more grace, and you as God's child in creation are worthy of his mercy and grace, right? Because all of love's expressions are your inheritance, okay? You didn't have to do anything to inherit that. You were given that by God, okay? Mercy and grace were given to you by God for you and for your children and for those in your family. And all you have to do is accept the gift of mercy and grace. And so start practicing offering yourself more mercy and more grace and putting those situations in God's hands. You did the best you could. God is in control. Everything is turning out exactly as it's supposed to. Thank you, God. And then having gratitude to God. Yes, so let go of that programming and forgive those who program you into thinking that way. And practice thinking like God thinks, and that's with his mercy, with his grace, with his compassion, with his understanding, with his love. However God thinks of you, practice thinking of yourself the way that God thinks of you. Okay? God is only love, right? So if you're thinking of yourself in a way that's not loving in nature, then you're not thinking like God. You're thinking like your past programming. Okay? But this never delivered to you what you want. So stop supporting this as real and true. This is just fantasy. Okay? let that programming go, and you let it go by ending your time, focus, and energy that you dedicate to the story. This is a story. Okay. Stop putting your time, focus, and energy in the story, and the story will begin to dissolve away. Practice saying to yourself, okay, no matter what, I'm not going to buy into the story of expectations. Yes, I will do the best that I can in this moment. I will be the most loving and compassionate person that I can in this moment, and allow what is to be. And do that over and over again. And stop that thinking of expectations when it comes to mind, because that's not what you're here for. That's not who you truly are. It's just a story that you've been taught as true, a fairy tale. And you know, if you tell a child a fairy tale over and over again, they start to believe it, right? And so stop telling you those fairy tales. Start thinking of yourself as God thinks of you. And by doing so, you align with the mind of God, which is love, and then you become a brighter and brighter light for others, for self and others. And that's what you're here for. Comments?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. Anybody else had any misperceptions this week?
Well, I have them every day.
All right.
But I think the difficulty that I'm having is, as anybody who was there on Sunday heard, it's that I am not my body, I am free thing, because nobody's doing anything to me. I'm not having bad days because it's like if you had a migraine all week, you know what I mean? Like it's distracting me. And if I'm not doing something else, I'm focused on it. And it's I don't have a migraine, but I have dysregulation. I have physical things that are happening that I don't like, that are uncomfortable for me. But I noticed, like today on the way to work, I did not feel well. I was not happy. But as soon as I got into the classroom, I was perfect. I was as happy as I could be to be there with my students. And then afterwards, there was a student who was not one of mine who was hysterical that I was trying to help. And that also, if I'm focused on other people, I'm fine. But as soon as I get back home and it's just me, I'm not fine again. But it's possible it's a medication problem as well. I don't know. It's just, I feel like when I go to Miracle, because it could be, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But when I go to Miracles, I get upset because I'm like, thinking about uh, I'm not my body, I am free, and this isn't supposed to be body issues, and it's supposed to be how I think about it. But I'm like, unless I'm just distracted from it, I'm noticing it. And I don't know, is there a lesson in there? Is there a something in there? I don't know what's in there. What's in there, James?
Well, you have to ask yourself, what opportunity am I being offered in those moments? Maybe I'm being offered the opportunity to forgive myself for how I think that I'm feeling, or for how I'm feeling. Or I can forgive my body for the way that it's reacting to whatever it is that I'm thinking, or just the way that it's reacting. I forgive my body for reacting in this way, for reacting in this dysregulated way.
Okay.
Stop judging the way that your body seems to be reacting. Okay, and start having a little more mercy and grace for yourself and for your body. And if your body wants to react that way, then as we say in the course, try to just when it starts to react that way, just rise above the battlefield a little bit, and look at your body with compassion, with mercy, with grace. Okay, because whenever you start to feel bad about your body, don't be surprised that your body is feeling bad. Okay.
Well, that is true, because when it's acting up, I'm like, I feel like it's my enemy. So that makes a lot of sense what you're saying, to be nicer.
Yeah.
'Cause
So,
why is it going to be nice to me when I see it as the enemy?
amen. Yeah. So practice next time those kind of things happen, those kind of thinking or just reactions happen. Just practice having a little more mercy and grace for your body, and say, if you have to feel this way right now, I gave you permission to feel this way. Okay. And I'm going to be here above the battleground. And I just want to share with you that this is you speaking to your body, that you're safe. I just want to remind you that you are safe. Okay. And so, whatever it is that you have to feel, go ahead and feel it. This is you speaking to your body. And feel whatever it is that you need to feel. I'm here for you. And go ahead and experience it. And no matter what, I'm here for you, and I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to judge the way you're reacting right now or feeling right now. Just going to let you have your little tantrum, and then know that I'm not going to judge you for your little tantrum. I'm going to be here, and I'm going to wait until you decide you don't have to cry anymore.
Wow, James, you're the best free therapy I've ever had. Thanks.
Yes, because you're not really, as we say in the course, you're not really your body, right? You're just using your body. The body is a communication device for the soul, right? And so we're using this tool. It's called the body. And so obviously, just like you would use a car, you want to be good to your car, and then your car will be good to you. If you're constantly, when your car says, hey, I need more gas or I need more oil, and you don't give that gas or oil, that car's not going to behave that well to you, right? And so this body is saying to you, hey, I need to feel this way right now. And so instead of fighting it, every time it thinks it needs to feel this way, say, go ahead, feel that way. I'm going to be up here, just above you, and I'm going to allow you to feel whatever it is you need to feel, but I'm going to be above you here because I know that I am safe. I know that God has my back. So while you're feeling this way, I'm going to use these exact moments to practice trusting God more. Okay? So you're allowing your body to feel whatever it is that thinks it needs to feel. You're not judging it. You're not condemning it. You're not saying it's bad. You're going to sit up here, and the same time your body's doing this, you're practicing trusting God more and reminding yourself that God does have my back. That God will use even these kind of situations for my good, to help me grow, heal, and awaken. And then in the future, I'll be able to use this experience, this life experience, to help others heal and awaken. And so, yes, have compassion for yourself and your body.
Outstanding. I feel better already.
Yes, amen. We should all do that for sure. I mean, we've all been programmed to judge our bodies. God, it's unbelievable, the programming of this. But remember, this world has spent trillions of dollars in judging our bodies, right? Trillions of dollars in marketing, saying that no, your body, if it's not this way, then you're somehow imperfect. Okay. But remember, that's the marketing. That's not God. That's this world's marketing. Okay. And so we're not here to buy into that and into those stories. We're here to represent God, which means to be at peace with ourselves, with our bodies, and to do our best to treat our body correctly, with kindness, with proper fuel, the best fuel we can, and not punish it when we're sick or when we're having those kind of reactions.
Even when you're going through menopause, you would say.
Amen. Yes.
Amen.
Amen.
All righty.
Yeah. There's a reason for everything.
I know there's a reason. uh,
Yeah, I mean, learn when you're going through that kind of situation, maybe, go into YouTube, and there's always women in that kind of case that, they express how they went through that menopause, and they express what helped them. And then you learn from them, and then you're able to teach others. And so, yes, this is something most people have to go through, and just go through it with grace and compassion towards yourself and towards your body, because it doesn't really do anything to you when you punish your body for behaving a certain way. And let's think about when we have a cold, right? What happens when we have a cold usually? The body temperature rises, right? And then we feel bad because we have this fever, right? And then we judge our body for having this fever, and we feel bad for having a fever. But what's really happening beneath the surface? The body's healing, right? At higher temperatures, the body produces certain chemicals that helps the immune system get more active, which then helps heal the system. And so, see, the ego would have us judge ourselves for having that fever, when that fever is the greatest thing that could happen to us. And so the fever, even though the ego says it's bad, is actually great for us. It's actually saying that the body is working like it's supposed to be working. Okay, but see, the ego doesn't even want that. And so when we have a fever, say, thank you, body. Thank you for producing this fever, because obviously I have something inside of me right now that has to be let go of, has to be healed. And so that's what the body's doing. The body's healing by producing that higher fever. And so don't, unless it's like 105, don't lower it. If it's 101, 102, 103, don't lower it. Just stick with it. That's what the body needs. If the body needs 103, let it have 103. The body knows what it's doing. Okay, the body's freaking amazing. And so the body knows what it's doing. Let it do its thing. It will heal you. It's always healing you. And so that's what you want to do. Now, of course, if we get to higher levels, then yes, lower it and go to the hospital if you have to. But usually, 99% of the times, you don't have to worry about that. The body will take care of you.
May I lend my support to Yvonne in a way that only a woman can,
Okay.
in a menopause way? Okay, it's been a while for me, Yvonne, but let me just, and now I don't have a uterus, so I don't have to worry about it at all. But let me explain something to you. When this first started happening to me, and this is not even a joke, I walked around for 6 months so mad, and I couldn't figure out why. And I kept like putting into Google mood disorders, and like I just couldn't figure out why I was so mad. And then finally one day I typed in menopause and homicidal rage, and I got like 15 million hits. And I was like, oh, now I know what's happening to me.
Yeah, it's real.
It's very real.
Yeah. So
Ice packs, underarms, neck, ice pack.
Yeah. I mean, it's gotten better, but it's just it's very hard to make friends with it when you can't sleep and you wake up grumpy and exhausted and yeah. So
James, it's very hard to make friends with it.
Can I add one note to this conversation, which some people don't resonate with? But another strategy during night sweats is embrace it because it's healing. Like James said, with the fever, the sweating is like you're burning away things that need to be burned away and toxins. And once I shift my perspective on it, it made it so much easier. Like, oh, I'm sweating because I'm getting rid of toxins and healing. Okay, end of my menopause footnote.
yeah, I'm not really sweating. I just I get hot and cold and hot and cold and hot and like but well, yeah, I mean, I'm just waking up more than I would like to.
Well, that's dysregulation. That's exactly what I was complaining to James about. Your body's dysregulated. It feels very weird. So
Yeah.
and uncomfortable. But I liked what he said about being compassionate toward your body instead of getting mad at it, which is, what I did.
Yeah, no, it's
yeah.
Yeah.
Use those moments. Let's say you're having difficulty sleeping, right? Okay, now do you get on your knees and pray before you go to sleep?
No.
Okay, so before you get into your bed, you get on your knees next to your bed, and you pray and you ask God to please help you sleep through the night, or help you sleep deeper. And so the thing with the spiritual realm is that You have free will. Usually, 95% of the time, they will not interact with you unless you ask. They will not assist unless you ask. And so practice doing that, practice praying before you go to sleep and asking God to help you sleep through the night or help you heal you in a more gentle way, let's say. Say, God, I know I have to go through this because this is where I'm at on my edge. But can you please help me sleep through the night better or help me more gently get through this situation? And so now you're bringing God, the big boys in. Now you're bringing God in, okay? And say you have a guardian angel, and you can call on Archangel Raphael, who I believe is the Archangel of Healing. Yes, I think it's Raphael. Yes, Archangel Raphael. And say Archangel Raphael, and you can double check that, but I'm pretty sure it's Raphael. Angel, and he's a green light. He manifests in green, right? His color is green, so he's an angel with green light. And so you ask Archangel Raphael, can you please help me get through this process in a more gentle way? And then you see Archangel Raphael, okay, in your mind's eye, and you see his green light, and then you say, Archangel Raphael, can you put your hands on me tonight so that I can sleep gently? And then you visualize his hands on your shoulders and him filling you with green, loving light, healing light. And then obviously at the end, you thank Archangel Raphael and you thank God for helping you get through this process in a more gentle way. And so practice doing that every night and see how that works.
I will. I'll get back to you.
Yes. Yes. Any final comments or questions before we close? No? All right. Well, this video, God willing, will be up tomorrow at 5 p.m. in my YouTube channel. Come by and check it out if you wish, if you so desire. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wendy,
Thank
Jen,
you.
Kelly, Mike,
Thank you, guys.
Joy, Yvonne,
Thank
and
you.
Laura.
Bye.
You'll take care.
Bye,
Bye.
Everyone.